You've been raised and you've been told, don't kill anybody, don't kill anybody. We hold the ultimate punishment for somebody who kills another person. And then one day they gather you all together and they say, go over there and go kill those people.
To see violence and to actually shoot a weapon at some other human being, I don't know if I killed anybody. And the smell of death, and you see these choppers coming in and out at the company next door with these bodies in body bags, and they're stacked up like.
There was an operation that we were on. We were getting shot at a lot. I knew that there was somebody in the village who was talking to somebody in the mountains about where our positions were. So I was directing the sniper team to look in the village and look for folks who were on the ICOM scanner. Well, some time went by and they said, hey, we've got somebody, and he's, he keeps popping his head out and he's on the radio. And the sniper looked at me and he's like, do you want him dead, sir? And I was like, I don't want him dead. I just want him to stop being shot at. But, I had to answer him, and I said, yes, like, shoot him. And so that was one of those moments where I feel like, I don't know if he was bad or good. I didn't want to be shot anymore, and I had to be extra aggressive in trying to protect the soldiers that were in my company in the platoon. And, so I erred on the side of that.
I prefer the term psychological injury as the general term for what happens when bad experience changes somebody. One of the objections I have to the official definition of PTSD, in effect a narrowly defined fear syndrome, is that it doesn't capture what wrecks veterans' lives and their families' lives.
When I initially came back from Vietnam, and I had my duffel bag, I walked up to my mother. She started crying, and I said, I'm good. I got all my limbs and this, that, and the other. She says, no, you changed.
PTSD just robs you of your feelings. It accentuates the bad ones. It doesn't allow you to see any good in yourself. It's just something that robs you of who you are and who you were.
How do you deal with your best friend literally being blown up beside you? How do you deal with seeing civilian casualties, inflicting civilian casualties? How do you deal with, people you don't know trying to kill you? There are so many facets to war that we just weren't made for as human beings. And so really what's happening is you're reliving this horrific event. You're still there, you're still back in combat. And you don't have the capacity to deal with it because we weren't meant to deal with those things.
I took command February 2009. March 2009, I had my first death in the company, and that was while we were back at Fort Campbell. We had one suicide right before that in the battalion. Both soldiers were really young. Both had gone to Iraq, I think at least once, maybe twice. It was the first one I had encountered, totally unexpected, and it had a profound effect on me.
They come back, and sometimes they've lost everything. They've lost their job, sometimes their house, sometimes they've lost their families. We need some process of moving people back to civilian life.
Juan's writing has allowed us to talk through things where we're not talking through like, how did you feel, or what were your experiences, anything like that. It's like, okay, so what's going on in this story? And it externalizes it to a point where he feels comfortable explaining the story.
This is a tough fight.
It is.
It's probably the toughest thing you will ever have to do in your life, because this person that's here through most of this isn't the person that you started out with. And it's having faith that with appropriate help,
Appropriate help.
okay, it can get better. Without the proper help, I don't think you got a prayer in hell.
No, you don't.
I knew I had something wrong. I didn't know how to deal with it. What I would do is get in my car and ride all night because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't sleep. And nobody couldn't tell me anything because I was always right.
I didn't tell anybody I was in Vietnam until the late 90s.
Your family don't understand. You know, your family will say, "Oh, we understand." You know, when you're talking about something, that's, you don't have a clue. How could you understand?
My family just didn't believe it. And if I tried to tell them some of the stuff I went through, they didn't believe that. So I didn't have anybody I could talk to and tell if I went to VA.
I would venture to say there's probably 40 to 50% of the veterans never go to the VA. Well, I know several. A friend of mine, he's a banker. His wife left him, his kids don't want to talk to him, his grandchildren don't want to deal with him. And he still won't accept the fact that he needs help.
No matter what, if your spouse has been gone for a year or more, under extreme levels of stress, with, you know, life-altering events, when they come back, their behavior is going to be changed.
I think that the most important thing about this group, we have one common goal. We've been struggling with this post-traumatic stress, you know, and this is what brought us together. That's helping vets.
It's our responsibility to help other veterans.